L'honorable député d'Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, life cost more. Stephanie, a single mother in Woodstock, worked a full-time job, but after paying her monthly bills, was left with only $9 for food. $9. Both carbon taxes have added 14 cents on a litre. But now this government wants to quadruple the carbon tax, adding an additional 61 cents to a litre. The Prime Minister is not worth the cost. Will this Prime Minister accept that by adding a carbon tax, he's forcing Canadians to choose between heating and eating?
Hear, 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 hear. L'honorable ministre.
Mr. Speaker, we understand that the Conservatives aren't strong with numbers, but let's put some facts on the table, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to supporting Canadian families, this government has been there at every step along the way. When it was the Canada Child Benefit that puts thousands of dollars each year in the pockets of families like the ones he's talking about in Woodstock, or perhaps the 50% reduction in childcare fees that are going to ensure that that family saves another thousands of dollars each year. Mr. Speaker, we have been there for Canadians. We're there for them to make sure they have money in their pockets, but also so that they can fight climate change and protect their children for the future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member from Lambton, from Lambton, Kent, Middlesex.
Speaker, first the NDP-Liberals wanted to triple the carbon tax. Then they said, no, that's not enough, and they added a second carbon tax. These two carbon taxes will increase from 14 to 61 cents per litre of fuel. The NDP-Liberal government is going to quadruple the carbon tax. But it's basic math. If it costs more to grow food, it will cost more to buy food. After 8 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. So will the NDP-Liberals accept that their carbon tax is causing Canadians to choose between heating and eating?
Again, I'm going to ask all members, please, to listen quietly to the question which is being put by the member who has the floor, as well as to the answers by the member who has the floor to respond. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Setting aside for a second the la-la land math that the Conservative Party is using on this issue, let's hear what the expert have to say about our plan to fight climate change. The International Institute for Sustainable Development said Canada commits to historic investment in clean electricity and fresh water in Budget 2023. The Insurance Bureau of Canada said Canada's first national adaptation strategy is brave and ambitious. No other country has proposed such a comprehensive suite of adaptation targets. Environmental Defence said new data released by the government demonstrate the climate policy has delivered real greenhouse gas emissions reduction, bringing Canada one step closer to our target.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of this government, one Quebecer in 10 has to resort to food banks every single month. In my riding, Moisson-Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, a food bank saw a 58% increase over the previous year. At a time when our citizens can no longer feed themselves because of inflation and high taxes, the Bloc is now siding with the Liberals on Carbon Tax 2.0, which applies to Quebec. A vote for Bloc is very expensive. Will the Liberals and the Bloc show some common sense and abolish the carbon tax? The Honourable Minister for the Environment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The member from Bellechasse-les-Chemin-Lévis was in a provincial government that fought for carbon pricing. On top of that, the member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier was part of this government, Mr. Speaker. The member for Mégantic-l'Érable, the member for Louis Saint-Laurent, who I respect a lot, publicly vouched for a carbon tax. And now they have a leader who is ideologically against fighting climate change and carbon pricing. Now they change their opinion. It's unacceptable. It's immoral, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.